Okay, so once you've got the tire off and you got the car jacked up and everything, you go ahead and first what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and remove the brake clip that holds in the brake caliper. You just pull that out basically with a screwdriver. You fiddle with it for a minute and it comes right out. Make sure you lay it in the proper orientation though, corresponding to where it goes here. Because I tell you, there's nothing more annoying than forgetting how it went and then trying to fiddle with it to get it back in there. Once you're done with that, next you got 2 bolts here, and you got one at the bottom here, and that is basically what holds your brake caliper in. It's going to be a 7mm hex bolt. And you're just going to loosen those up and pull them out. At this point, I like to go ahead and take the bleed screw right here, take the plastic cover off, and loosen up the bleed screw a little bit. So we'll go ahead and bleed out some brake fluid. That'll help loosen up the caliper right here. The bleed screw is a 9mm. And the other thing is, you got a brake sensor right here. You got a brake sensor right here that you're going to want to remove. You just take a little flathead screwdriver and pop it right out. Fair warning though, on a lot of higher mileage cars, especially older ones, the brake sensors are very commonly break when doing a brake job or such. Just because they've become so brittle, they can just break apart. Okay, so at this point, I've gotten the caliper off. Now, what I use generally is a combination of hammer. You don't beat it with the end of it. You use the tail end to kind of latch onto it and pull it out. And then I also leave the bleed screw. I leave it not fully open to where it's pouring out. But, I definitely open it a little bit to give it some room to pop out. And then eventually, after wiggling with it and playing with it, the brake caliper will slide out with the 2 brake pads. Now, like I said, on these cars, you're going to have a brake sensor, which is this right here. This end right here goes into the brake pad, into one of them. You just take a I just take a real fine screwdriver and I kind of pry it out very gently with it, and it comes right out. It's really nice. Now, like I said, sometimes they'll be really brittle and they'll fall apart, and then sometimes they'll be in pretty good condition. This is a 2005, so it's in pretty good shape. It's still looking very good. But on my E36 BMWs, generally my brake sensors have pretty much fallen apart. Okay, so at this point, I've got my brake parts cleaner, and while I'm, when I'm changing the brakes and everything, I want to go ahead and clean everything and go ahead and clean everything off, make it real shiny, and this can clean a lot of gunk and everything out of this system, so it's nice just to, and this stuff, you don't have to wipe it up or anything, you just go ahead and you go ahead and shoot it, and in about 2 minutes or so, it dries itself off. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do, and I also clean the brake caliper with it and everything around it too.
The piston has to be pushed back in.
Okay, so next, when you're preparing to put your new brake pads into the brake caliper, you've got to first, you see this piston right here? This is a piston. You have to actually, it's pretty far out because the brake pads you're replacing have gotten old and they've gotten thinner. So as your brake pads get thinner, your piston comes out further. So you've got to push that back in basically to put to make room for your new brake pads. So what you use is you use this tool right here, which is basically a piston pusher. It just you basically just latch this on to the end right here, and you turn it until it compresses the piston back in, and then you're ready to put your brakes in. Alright, so this is how you're going to use your piston compressor. You're just going to turn it, and as you turn it, you're going to see that out of the nozzle you're going to see brake fluid coming out that's completely normal. And you're just going to keep turning it until it's flush with the metal at the end, and then you'll be ready to apply your new brakes. Okay, so here's my new brake pads. You can see they're brand new and real thick. So at this point, I take some of this ultra disc brake lubricant. Basically this is what keeps your brakes quiet, and I just apply a thin layer to all the black right here, basically the back side of the pad, and I apply it all around there. And then I take the piston bolts and I also apply it on the metal part, not on the thread part, but the rest of it right here. And that'll basically keep your brakes quiet when you put the new ones on and when you're braking.